Welcome everyone to JetPatch April Patch Tuesday overview. We are introducing a new monthly webinar to discuss the latest Patch Tuesday release from Microsoft, along with some important vulnerabilities from different vendors such as Reddit, SUSE, and many more. In this session, we'll cover the recent Patch Tuesday highlights and how JetPatch can help you fix them. Before jumping into the session, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Or Smolnik, Product Manager.
And I'm Gilly Benoliel, a pre-sales engineer.
We'll begin with an overview of the 108 vulnerabilities Microsoft addressed in its April Patch Tuesday and discuss the most important vulnerabilities you may want to pay more attention to during your remediation process. After that, we'll understand how JetPatch solution can help you remediate vulnerabilities and deploy Patch Tuesday while achieving a high success rate in your remediation cycle. Lastly, we'll cover some new and important features in JetPatch to make sure you understand the power of our platform. So without further ado, let's start. This month's Patch Tuesday has crossed the 100 vulnerabilities which we haven't seen for a while, having 19 critical vulnerabilities with an average score of 8.77 and 88 moderate vulnerabilities with an average score of 7.28. In addition to the severity, there are 6 types of vulnerabilities impact with more than half about remote code execution. There are multiple products that are affected by April Patch Tuesday, some of which are Windows core components like Remote Procedure Call, which exist in every Windows desktop and server, and other Microsoft products like Exchange Server and SharePoint. It's important to say that all operating systems are affected by various vulnerabilities, so it is crucial to patch your entire environment with the latest monthly roll-up patches. Now, let's focus on some of the most important vulnerabilities addressed by Patch Tuesday. We'll start with a critical fix to Microsoft Exchange Server for remote code execution. CVEs from number 28480 to 28483 are providing a fix to multiple Microsoft Exchange servers from various versions with the latest cumulative updates. The Microsoft base score for those CVEs are above 8.8 with an average score of 9.35, which means that when prioritizing your April patch workload, this should be high on your list. All organizations using Microsoft Exchange Server should immediately install the Patch Tuesday. Please be aware that there are some known issues with this update related to Microsoft Exchange Server services, which may have some problems with this update. It's recommended to stop the Microsoft Exchange services before applying the update. In some cases, the services may become disabled after the patch installation. This does not mean that the patch was not installed properly, but you need to ensure that the services are up and running after the patch installation. If they are not, you need to restart them. The next vulnerability we will talk about is CVE-28315. With a moderate severity and a score of 8.8, this fix is all about Remote Procedure Call, or RPC for short. RPC is a core component in Windows that allows for communication between internal components of Windows or external entities over the network. With this vulnerability, the attacker can use a crafted message to enable remote code execution and run malicious programs. This vulnerability is applicable for all supported Windows desktops and servers and addressed as part of the monthly security update. Last but not least, we have an interesting critical 7.8 vulnerability related to remote code execution in Windows Media Video Decoder. Windows Media Video Decoder is a set of codecs to help Windows play video in many different formats. Unlike the first 2 vulnerabilities we reviewed, this attack can't be exploited from the network. Instead, the attacker needs to transfer a specially crafted video file to the victim, and only if the victim opens it will the exploit happen, giving the attacker the ability to execute a code sequence. Same as previous vulnerability, this vulnerability is applicable for all supported Windows desktops and servers and addressed as part of the monthly security update. JetPatch platform can easily fix all the vulnerabilities mentioned and help you perform the right sequence to ensure a successful patching cycle, which entails more than just the patch itself. Besides applying the patch for Microsoft Exchange Server, JetPatch can make sure the Exchange services are stopped before patch remediation takes place, plus ensure they are up and running after the patch installation. The other two vulnerabilities can be automatically pushed to your environment using JetPatch automatic remediations with a security monthly rollup. In this way, you won't need to perform any manual actions each month because JetPatch will do it all for you. Now I want to explain a bit more about the mentioned JetPatch features and how you can use them for your own organization's needs. For this part, I've invited Gili. Hey Gili, happy to have you here in our Patch Tuesday review. Before jumping to the features, what do you think about April Patch Tuesday?
Hey Or, thanks for inviting me. It's important to say that this monthly update from Microsoft actually addresses the highest number of unique CVEs for 2021. So it's really important to be up to date and patch your environment as soon as possible.
Thanks, Gili. So let's start. We have some interesting features to cover today. We will talk about the JetPatch workflow engine, continue with generating an automatic remediation, and end with our endpoint readiness capability. In JetPatch, we understand that the ability to send the patch command is not enough for the remediation process. A remediation process consists of several steps before and after the patch command. Gili, do you have any example of a workflow our customers are using?
Sure. The most common workflow our customers are using is to first perform some service actions in data backup before the patch action, like stopping important services for applications and backing up their configuration. After the patch has been installed, the usual tasks are to start the services that were disabled before and do a reboot to apply all the needed changes.
And the workflow engine in JetPatch provides an easy and simple way to do all of this?
Yes, we've built many scripts that are part of the built-in library in JetPatch that our customers can use for their own needs. And if they can't find what they're searching for, they can always upload new scripts created in-house. JetPatch scripts can support many platforms and can be written in many languages like Python, Windows Bash, Shell, and PowerShell.
But we know that our customer's environment consists of many different systems, so is it possible to have multiple workflows in the same remediation plan?
Sure. When using JetPatch workflow, you can easily define a different workflow for each endpoint group in the remediation plan. This will let you create a single plan for your entire environment instead of multiple duplicated plans for each sub-environment in your organization.
Sounds good. So I understand JetPatch can follow the Microsoft guidelines for their updates, like handling the case of the current known issue for the Microsoft Exchange vulnerability.
As you mentioned, in this case, I would build a special Exchange workflow to do the necessary actions in order to make sure the patch will be successfully deployed and my system will be up and running as soon as possible. In the next slide, we have an example of creating such a workflow. Here, we can see a workflow for Windows Exchange environment. This workflow consists of two post-patching tasks that will first start the Exchange services and then, only if it is needed, will perform a reboot operation to the endpoint.
Thanks, Gili. Now let's continue with our next feature that is related to no-touch remediation. At JetPatch, we can create automatically generated remediation plans based on the customer's rules.
Yeah, so we like to call it a low-touch, no-touch capability because you can have minimal human intervention by only having to activate the already created remediation plan or even skip this part, meaning the generated plan can also be activated automatically without any needed action on the customer's end. To make this happen, the user simply needs to apply any filters he wants from our JetPatch catalog. These can be based on many properties like patch title, supporting operating system, category, affected product, and release date, or even based on the required endpoint group. After applying the filters, you can save them to have a dynamic patch list. By that, newly released updates will automatically be added to this list if they meet the defined filters. This dynamic patch list will be configured in the automatic remediation plan rule. So another important configuration for automatic remediation plan rule is to decide when JetPatch should create the remediation plan. We have a fully customized scheduling mechanism to decide when this will happen.
And how do you select workflows in the case of automatic remediation plan?
When creating the automatic remediation plan rule, you have the ability to choose which workflows will apply.
Sounds good. I'm sure this feature gives a lot of power to operations teams, so they don't need to spend a lot of time planning the whole cycle each and every month.
Exactly. That was the whole purpose of this feature.
The last feature we'll cover in today's session is our endpoint readiness capability. You know that research has revealed that most of the biggest issues organizations experience in the patching cycle could have been detected far ahead of time?
This sounds accurate because those issues are usually related to a misconfiguration of environment endpoints that prevents the patching process from being executed properly.
And this is why we came up with the endpoint readiness feature to ensure our customers' environments are ready for a patching operation at any given time.
And in doing this, JetPatch checks multiple things, like PowerShell policies for Windows endpoints, subscription registration for endpoints running Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or general configuration and communication with the various repositories.
And you know, it's good to mention that this feature aligns with our shift left philosophy. Can you please explain what that means for those listening?
Yes, of course. So the shift left was born in the DevOps world, primarily as a movement to incorporate security early in the development cycle. If we visualize the software development cycle as running from left, the idea, to right, the finished product, security has traditionally been more closely tied to the right side. That is, one of the last things addressed before release. Endpoint readiness follows the shift left philosophy by showing you issues as early as possible so that the time and effort invested to fix these, as well as their impact, are as minimal as possible.
It sounds like a powerful approach, and I can think of many other products that will have a benefit from following it.
Absolutely, you nailed it.
Well, thanks Gilly for joining our session today. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and see you next month right after Microsoft May 2021 Patch Tuesday. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.